As we wrap up 2021, I wanted to recap all of the lessons learned when it comes to your career. In this video, we're going to be talking about the hiring trends that I noticed this year, the importance of mental health, and a bunch of other lessons that you need to learn so that you can have a really successful career in 2022. And if you find this video to be helpful, make sure you click subscribe down below, where we post weekly career content on how to accelerate your career and find a job that you truly enjoy. Alright, real quick before we get into the video, I would love to get your honest feedback as my audience on my brand new video recording setup. I did some Christmas shopping and I invested in a brand new camera and lens. And so if you can tell the difference or you appreciate the difference, please let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I may be returning this camera equipment if you guys really don't think that there's a major difference in the overall quality. Alright, really appreciate your feedback. Now let's dive into the video. So 2021 has been quite a crazy year, a lot of events and a lot of ups and downs. At the beginning of the year, we had the storming of the nation's capital. Then we had the rise and fall of meme stocks like AMC and GameStop. And then we had the cryptocurrency craze with Dogecoin making millionaires out of people, driving insanity towards all of these brand new cryptocurrencies and getting people really interested in blockchain technology. So with all the things that happened in 2021, what are some key lessons that you need to be aware of, that you need to start thinking about so you can incorporate that into your career next year so you can elevate yourself and have a really successful 2022? One of the first lessons that I think we can learn is how resilient tech companies have proven to be during the second year of a global pandemic and the rise and fall of inflation, as well as global economies and overall trade markets. Even with a supply shortage constricting a lot of industries around the world, these tech companies have managed to be truly successful and consistently successful all throughout 2021. In fact, a lot of the S&P 500's growth this year was driven almost entirely by tech companies like Google, Apple, and Tesla. Now, despite the success of all of these tech companies this year, it does not mean that in the future that tech companies will always be this successful and always be recession-proof or pandemic-proof. It just so happens that in 2021, all these tech companies, especially the software and cloud-based ones, were extremely successful, but it doesn't always mean that this is going to be a trend in the future. I just wanted to make this disclaimer, even though I do think if you're thinking about changing jobs, companies, or industries, tech is definitely something you should be considering if it is within your interests and your passions. Now, keeping on that same topic, I think the second lesson that I learned this year is that you can never truly predict what type of job is going to be hot in any given market, or what is going to be the highest paying job or the sexiest job every given year. As a recruiter, I've noticed certain hiring trends around hardware engineering, biotech jobs, and diversity, equity, and inclusion roles have been particularly hot overall in this market, leading to extreme competition as well as elevated compensation packages, which is fantastic for anyone who is already operating in this space. But what does that mean for you? Well, one of the key takeaways here is because you can never predict what a sexy or cool or top-paying job is going to be, depending on market industries, market trends, or what may be happening globally, like a pandemic, you should honestly be picking a career that you truly love to do. You shouldn't choose a job based on how much money you think you can make when you graduate or what your earning potential could be in the future, because as we learned this year, hardware engineers are actually now starting to get paid equally as much as software engineers, if not more, because of the rarity of the skill set and everyone's importance towards building their own hardware, CPU, and other types of chips. So if you are truly passionate about something, I think you should double down and stick with what you're passionate about, because you'll never know what will be happening in the future, and your job that no one thinks is sexy or cool today could be one of the top paying jobs in 2022. The third career lesson we learned this year is that it is possible to run a successful business and to have a successful career while working from home or working remote in the short term. I'm saying in the short term right now because we don't really have a lot of data over a long period of time to show that this is going to be consistently true as we move forward into 2022. All of the data that we have right now is centered around this last year and a half-ish of working from home. And right now, a lot of companies have shown that productivity has basically remained the same even though they have a globally remote workforce. But I'm not too sure if this is a trend that will actually continue in the long run, especially as people are willing to change companies and move around. Onboarding remote employees, building that same type of employee morale, and getting involved in high visibility and key impact projects can be often a little bit more difficult when you are working remotely and you don't get to meet people as naturally and create these connections at work. 2021 has also been a crazy year for inflation. Here in the United States, it's estimated that inflation is going to be almost as high as 7% going into 2022. So what that basically means is your cash is not as good or not as strong as it typically would be in a given year. So what does that mean when it comes to your pay? Well, if you're given the choice when you are negotiating your job offer for a new opportunity, I would actually consider taking more equity as opposed to a higher base salary or cash bonus if possible. Because at least with the equity and the growth in your company, you can potentially hedge against the inflation that you may be seeing. This year, we also learned the importance and the impact of supply and demand when it comes to hiring top talent for a lot of these companies. As a recruiter and coach, what I've seen this year is that the competition when you're interviewing and applying for a job has increased substantially. I would guess by at least 2 or 3 times. Right now, because a lot of positions are work from home or fully remote, you will be competing with the entire country that you live in, as opposed to just people in your geographic area. So if you are getting interviews but not getting offers, don't just blame it on the competition, which although may be increased, what this really comes down to is that your interviewing skills need to be truly on point and above the rest of everyone else that you are interviewing with. If you want some interviewing tips and tricks, please check out our playlist right here. Now, the next thing that we learned is around physical and mental health. I think with all of us staying at home and really focusing more on our overall health and well-being, we've come to realize how critical that can be and how it really does affect your performance and success at work. So make sure you are doing the appropriate things that you need for both your mind and your body to stay fresh and resilient as you move into 2022. Don't be afraid to take some time off, whether that's for personal leave or just to spend time with your family and enjoy a really good vacation. And when you are on vacation, make sure you unplug. Do not be checking your emails or thinking about work, because while we're all working from home, it's very easy to be sucked into work all the time because you have your computer with you, people can be calling you and pinging you all day, and it can be really difficult to disconnect, which has added overall increased stress and mental instability over this last year. So make sure you're doing what you need, whether that's meditation, vacations, or just getting outside, exercising, and doing things that you love. Remember, your career is long, so invest in yourself, in your health. Another lesson that I think a lot of people overlooked in this past year is that working from home and working remote has truly exposed managers to show if they are a really good manager or a truly bad manager that just so happened to be getting by because we were all in the office. What I've learned is that truly good and successful managers who really care and invest in their team's careers and overall growth have truly thrived during the work from home situation. While as managers who were just appointed to be managers, didn't really want to be a manager, didn't really care about their team's overall growth and investment, they got the opportunity while working from home to essentially check out and blame it on the fact that we were all working from home and it's just harder to connect with their teams. In order to be a successful manager in the last year when working from home and managing a remote team, you truly had to be proactive and schedule a lot of either meetings or ensure that there are a lot of weekly or bi-weekly check-ins with your team so that they can be set up for success, so that they're getting the right type of visibility and that they're working on the impactful projects that can truly benefit their career and their career growth to potentially get a promotion. So I would take a step back and see, where does your manager fall in the overall scale? How have they adapted to working from home, and are they a good or bad manager for you? Now, I think this next lesson or point can't go unsaid when we're talking about the current situations and global pandemic, and that is that family is really, really important, and that you should really cherish the time that you have with your loved ones. While there's a global pandemic going around, or even without it, I think a lot of us can get truly sucked into our careers, and it's hard to take a step back and appreciate those that we love the most. So make sure you are spending time with your family and really appreciating all these moments that you have, because you never know what may happen. Someone could be diagnosed with something, or someone could catch COVID-19, or maybe there could just be a tragic accident. And you'll never really know, and that's why you should always take the time to spend time with those that are really important to you. One of my favorite pieces of advice from my mentors is that you should never let your job or work consume you. Everyone is replaceable, even if you are the CEO or vice president. As you can see from the news, even when a CEO or president is fired, or a vice president leaves the company and goes to another one, the world doesn't end. Their company doesn't fall into shambles and everybody gets laid off and they have zero revenues. There's always going to be at least 10 candidates or 10 people dying to have that position to become CEO or become president. So everybody is expendable and everyone is replaceable, regardless of how important you think you may be. So don't let your job overtake your life. Make sure you can take time for yourself and for your family. Now, this is a really key lesson that I think people need to be aware of, and that is that top performers will always be given exceptions. And this has been extremely prevalent during 2021 and a global pandemic. While companies aren't sure if they need to be working fully remote, or they can allow people to come back in a few days a week, or everyone needs to be fully present in the office regardless of what's happening outside, there have always been people who are willing and able to get exceptions from companies' management. And some of you may be thinking that it's so unfair that Johnny gets to work from home while all of us have to come into the office. But what you need to remember is that top performers, or the top people in every team or every company, will always be given exceptions so that the company can retain them and they don't leave to one of their competitors. So what you need to be thinking about is how you can start to stand out and be known as a top performer, or someone on your team that is truly valuable, that would be warranted to get an exception. And the exception for you could be, working from home maybe 1 or 2 extra days a week. Or maybe your company is requiring everyone to go into the office, but you want to live somewhere where the company does not have an office. There will always be exceptions made for the top performers and the top 1 to 5% of every company. And so you need to be thinking about what it takes for you to get into that top 1 to 10% in your company in 2022. And the last career lesson from 2021 is that you need to know when to ask for help. If you are going through your job search and you are not able to make progress or get a job within the first month of fully dedicated job search, then I think you need to ask for help. In the beginning, you can probably get by with what's available on YouTube and certain career blogs, and from advice from family and friends. But if you're using all of those tips and tricks and you're still not making any progress after 1 month, do not stall and wait and think that you'll be able to fix it on your own. There's been a lot of people who've come to me for help when they're trying to change careers, and by then it's been 6 to sometimes 18 months of either unemployment, or by getting all of these fantastic opportunities but failing interviews, and now they're no longer eligible to be hired at these companies. So I would say, again, give it 1 month of you trying it on your own, and if you are not able to make progress, highly consider getting professional help. All right, well, I hope this video was helpful, and now you know what to look for and what you should be doing when it comes to 2022. If you want additional tips and tricks for your career, make sure you click subscribe down below and drop a like if you found this video to be helpful. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.